In this unit, we will study connectors of contrast. Okay, so you give an idea, and there is a contrast with another one. Something good, something bad. Now, for example, aunque es un gruñón, yeah, that's the bad thing about him, James es mi mejor amigo. Although, even though he's grumpy, James is my best friend. And this is the structure you have to follow. So you got here one sentence and another one. Although, even though. A pesar de ser un gruñón, James es mi mejor amigo. So we have exactly the same idea, alright? We've got two ideas and there is a contrast between them. A pesar de ser un gruñón, in spite of he is grumpy, despite he is grumpy, James is my best friend. And here's the structure you have to follow. So it is exactly the same as before. You got two different sentences, and here you've got the connector of contrast of these two different sentences. Now there's another option for in spite of and despite, and here you have an example. A pesar de estudiar un montón, James suspendió el examen. So in spite of studying a lot, or despite studying a lot, James failed the test. And here's the structure you have to follow. You got a verb ending in ing, and then another sentence. In spite of studying a lot, James failed the test. But what about if I want to say no? Like, for example, in spite of not working a lot, in spite of not studying a lot, a pesar de no estudiar mucho, James passed the test. Okay? So this is the way we are going to say, a pesar de no estudiar, a pesar de no ir, a pesar de no trabajar. You know, it's a weird thing. I mean, it is something that you have to know, because the most probable thing is that you're going to get it wrong if you don't study this particular structure. Okay? A pesar del hecho de que es un gruñón, James es mi mejor amigo. Now, in this case, all these two things come together. A pesar del hecho, okay, and you got two different sentences. Here you got one, number one, and here you got number two. So in spite of the fact that he is grumpy, James is my best friend. Now in this case, however, is going to be in between these two ideas. James is grumpy, however, he is my best friend. And this is the structure, okay? So you have a first sentence, number one, then we have the connector that is going to join these two different clauses and sentences. Here we go. Now, James is grumpy, however, he is my best friend. Okay, so are you ready to practice this connector? So we are in page 75 of your student's book, and this is exercise number one. So you have to choose the correct word, okay? So in spite of arguing, they remained friends, okay? A pesar de discutir, bueno, siguieron siendo amigos. Now, number two, we all need friends sometimes. Even though, a pesar de, they can also hurt our feelings, okay? Number three, despite being quite shy, Tom often makes new friends. A pesar de ser bastante tímido, Tom, pues a menudo hace amigos. Number 4. Aunque I've got lots of friends, aunque tengo muchos amigos, I still feel lonely sometimes. Todavía me siento pues un poco solo a veces. Now, number 5. Liam's a good friend despite the fact that he lives so far away. Okay, a pesar del hecho de que vive muy lejos, Liam es un buen amigo. And last one, number 6. I saw Emily at the party, however, I didn't speak to her. In this case, you have to rewrite the sentences in different ways using the words given. For example, despite not having many friends, Grace is happy. A pesar de no tener muchos amigos, Grace, pues es feliz. Okay, so can you say the same idea using although, aunque? Here we go. Although she doesn't have many friends, Grace is happy. Now, can you do the same with however? Grace doesn't have many friends, however, she's happy. Okay? So, now remember, okay? However, just in the middle of two ideas, this one and the other one. Rob is quite friendly, however, he doesn't get along with his brother. Rob es un tío, well, fácil de trato, sin embargo no se lleva bien con su hermano. Though. Can you say the same idea using though? Even though he is quite friendly, Rob doesn't get along with his brother. In spite of? In spite of being quite friendly, Rob doesn't get along with his brother. In this exercise, you have to write a connector, one of those that we have already seen in this unit. Okay, so let's go. Is your best friend just like you, or are you very different? Okay, so tell us about it in the comments below. Hi, I'd like to tell you about me and my friend Brandon. We get on really well, although we don't really have much in common. So he loves sport and exercises a lot. However, I'm into reading and playing video games. Still, we get on really well with each other. My best friend is Maria. Although we don't look like each other at all, we have very similar personalities. I think that's what counts. Maria's tall and really good looking, and I'm not. So despite looking very different, we have a great relationship and spend all our time together. I wouldn't change it for the world. And the last one, my best friend Carl is similar to me that people sometimes think we're brothers. Despite the fact that we're not related at all, we look the same, have the same personality, enjoy doing the same things. However, I understand that some friends can be very different from each other, but Carl and I are almost like twins.